Welcome, everybody, to the DNA podcast. Thank you for joining us. And again, I just hope that our podcast is providing you with resources, information, things for you to think about that serve you ultimately in what God's called you to do as you just take the vision God's given you and you run with it. We want to be a blessing to you and we want to serve you in that way. That's our heart, and that you're getting resources not just from any place, but from some place where there is trusted DNA. So thank you for joining us again with for this podcast, and we're continuing our conversation with a friend of Destiny Network, and that's Dr. Sam Chan. And if you don't know who he is a leadership consultant, coach, author of over 40 books, and besides that, he's just all around a really nice guy. At least that's my experience of him. But he's full of great wisdom, and we're just honored to have him. We've had a great conversation already that really just took off from a question that I asked him about leadership challenges he faced early on in his career and how that shaped some of his own coaching mentorship. And we had some great conversation about that. If you missed last episode, you need to go back and check out the last episode of the DNA podcast. We just want to pick up the conversation again. And again, Dr. Chan, thank you for joining us.
What an honor and joy to be here with you. And thank you for everything DNA is doing for so many people.
Well, thank you very much. So I want to have some discussion around leadership teams. I have personally a firm persuasion that anything done for the kingdom of God is always best done in the context of team. I mean, if anybody could have done it by themselves, I think it would have been Jesus. When he came to the earth and he got 12 guys around him that were a team, that he went about the Father's business, and in the context of that, equipped them to carry on the Father's business. And I think he's a pretty good model for all of us to follow. And so I'm thinking that there are not just senior pastors, but potentially, executive pastors, youth pastors, worship leaders, all of whom serve in churches at various functions and in various settings, some in rural communities, some in small churches, some in large churches. But at some level, we're all responsible for developing teams and working with teams. So let's enter into a conversation about that and maybe just kick off with this. How do I choose team members? How do I identify with people or identify the people that would serve well to be on my leadership team?
That's a great question. And there are many entry points to answer that. So let me just take a stab at the first one, which is I think your present team can identify future ministry teams, because your present team is working with somebody who's already on team that needs to maybe get repositioned or promoted or demoted, or whatever that might be, or you might have some volunteers on your team that are great prospects. You might have interns in your team that might be a great prospect. So your present leadership, paid or unpaid, really doesn't matter, are your first, in my mind, the first go-to people who are really looking for that. The other thing I would do is to teach my team and empower my team to keep their eyes open to be scouting for other team members. And the way I would suggest pastors do that, regardless of the size of your church, is maybe 3 times a year or so have, at the conclusion of the meeting, just go around the table and just say, everyone give me a name of a person that you think is a prospect for our team. Now, the reason for doing that is not just to gather names, not just to gather information. The reason to do that is to make people consciously aware that one of the things that every team member does is identify other team members. Andrew did that for Philip, for example. For Peter, Philip, and others did that for others. Barnabas did that for others, So the Bible is full of people identifying other people, Aquila, Priscilla, and with Paul and Apollos, and so on and so forth. So I think we have to train our people to have those eyes, that they are not just focused on greeting people, or they're not just focused on doing the task, but they are actually looking at people as their possibilities to add to the team paid or unpaid is not the issue at this question point. It is, they could be volunteers, but I think people have to be empowered with those eyes. So maybe 3 times a year, make that an agenda item, announce it ahead of time. Hey, at our next meeting, come prepared with somebody that you think will be an addition to the team.
So,
The second thing I would say is not only do they need to bring a name, but they need to say why they think they are part of the team. And one of the reasons should be they fit us, they have our heart, they have our culture, they know where we are going, they believe in us, they have a great attitude, they are teachable, they can handle correction, they are when they're given assignments, they excel in their assignments. So they ought to be. So what I'm doing right here is, you notice, is that so imagine you got 11 people in the room around you. Paid, unpaid, doesn't matter what, but you got your staff, your volunteers in the room. And each one of them says, I would like to think about Ryan Deaton. Ryan Deaton is just a great guy. He's always smiling, got a great attitude. The other day I asked him if he would help me with this, and immediately jumped in. And you know something? He did it so well. And then he closed the loop with me and he came back and told me what happened. Well, and on and on and on. Well, as they are talking about it, guess what they're talking about? The things you value. So you as the pastor are not teaching your people what they value, because the next person is going to say, hey, so-and-so, so-and-so. And then when they give the why, they're actually teaching the group and they're reaffirming the culture. Do you see what's happening here? So you did not have to do that. They did that. So they identified a person. That means they had eyes. And then they start identifying their characteristics, which are your values and your vision, your attitudes, your culture. So it just takes on a life of its own. It's so simple, no money needed. Just 3 times a year, let's do that. So out of that, you will also get team leaders. You'll get team leaders, but more importantly, your team will leave stronger from that meeting because they have verbalized and articulated the values of the church. The other thing that I would also want to do in recruiting is to recruit, not ask for volunteers. Now that's an important point. So let me just take a minute to unpack that. When you ask for volunteers, have you not noticed that the wrong people will always volunteer?
every time.
And now you got a problem. How do you unvolunteer a volunteer without hurting their feelings? So now you are stuck because you ask people who hate the kids will volunteer to work in the nursery, for example. People who can sing will volunteer to sing in the worship team. So recruit. But if you're looking for Bible, let me give you Bible for it. Till John the Baptist, just the precursor of Jesus, till John the Baptist, the disciple could volunteer to follow his master. But after Jesus, from Jesus on, in the Bible, you will not find a single volunteer. In fact, there were people who came to Jesus because they got healed and blessed and they wanted to follow him. They wanted to volunteer the services. And Jesus said, no, go home. I don't need you. Go home. In Luke chapter 6, I believe it is. Yeah, Luke chapter 6, Jesus recruited his disciples. He recruited Paul on the Acts chapter 9, on the road to Damascus. So recruitment is the name of the game. So if I walk up to you and say to you, Ryan, okay, another thing, do not recruit for a need. Do not recruit for a need. Recruit for the big vision.
That's right.
So I would come to you. I wouldn't say to you, hey, Ryan, we need your help in the children's church, or we need your help with the youth. We believe you can really help us with youth. No. Then I'm putting you in a box. Because I want to start a conversation with you so that down the road, we can continue to have that conversation. And I'd come to you and say, Ryan, I see something special going on in your life. I don't know if you know what it is. I don't know what it is. All I know is I can see it on you. I can see God's hand on your lives and something special going on in your life. So, can we talk about this sometime as to what God is saying to you? That will be step one. Then I come back to Ryan and say, Ryan, uh, I think the Lord has shown me a couple things in my prayer life, but what is He saying to you? What are you most passionate about? Well, Pastor, I'm passionate about youth. Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Can I introduce you to the youth pastor, or you may already know them? And can you just kind of shadow them and help out and volunteer? Can you do that? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you see, all the time I want them to know you're just starting. You're just starting. You're just starting. You're just starting. So they don't get stuck where they're at. And I'm calling out the passion from them. I want them to have a conversation with the Lord, because I am not recruiting people to fill a need. I'm recruiting people for something big, a vision that God has given to us. So the last thing I want to say about that is, once you recruited a person and you gave them a lot of attention when you're recruiting them, but the sad thing I see is, once they are recruited and in the pipeline, they don't get the same amount of attention and time anymore. And they start thinking, so before this, I was being recruited. Now, I'm just part of the fabric. And that is a very disappointing experience for anybody to go through. So if you want them to play the long game, you got to be willing to play the long game yourself. Recruiting is not a one-off. It's a process that never ends.
Wow, so many things to think about there. But I think what you just said leads really perfectly into a potential next question, because once they're part of that leadership team, we don't want to just not give them attention anymore. They're going to feel used. They're going to feel abused. They're going to claim the proverbial church hurt thing, right? That's going to happen. But it really requires that recruiting moves from recruiting to standing with them in their ongoing development. That's the way I'm going to say it, because
Yep.
I have a personal thought, and you can correct me, because I could be wrong. I mean, I don't think I am, but I could be wrong. We'll just leave that as a possibility, that we really don't develop leaders. We stand with people in their own development, because development is their choice. We have an opportunity to stand with them. So what is necessary from then the leader, from that point forward, to stand with them in their ongoing development and the members of their team?
So if I was recruiting you, Ryan, and you are now in the pipeline, I would say to you, Ryan, thank you so much. So first of all, Ryan, you need to know that I'm always available to you. But Ryan, would you mind if maybe once or twice a year we sat down and talked about what God is saying to you? So now I have shifted expectations from all the time or every other week to maybe once or twice a year. Let's sit down and talk about what God is saying in your life, not how you're doing on your job. Not do you like what you're doing, not how it's working out for you. What God's saying to you, maybe once or twice a year. Can we do that, Ryan? Yeah, yeah, Pastor, that'll be good. That'll be good. And then make sure it's on your calendar and you make an appointment with them. Make an appointment a month out. Don't do anything spontaneous. So don't say, "Hey Ryan, do you have a minute? Can we talk?" No, that just happened to be a convenient time for you. That you say, "Hey, I got 5 minutes right now. Let me get Ryan out of the way." So if Ryan knows a month out that you're going to meet with him on such and such Wednesday at such and such time at such and such place, wow. Pastor has made an appointment with me. I mean, it could be your office, could be your secretary, your assistant, whatever that might be. But yeah, I think we've got to show respect to people. I mean, these are actual people who who are part of our destiny and our vision. So we've got to treat them with respect. We've got to treat them with honor. We've got to also realize that God is saying things to them. And for us to come alongside and stand with them, I like your words. Stand with them and give them the opportunity to develop. I think that is where most pastors will say to me, I like developing people, but they have nothing on the calendar that says people development. They got staff meeting, they got preaching, and they got other things. But if I could, if I had a volunteer base of say 15 people, for example, and maybe three other people working in the office, so I got 20 people. I can meet with them twice a year easily, just for 30 minutes. Say, Ryan, you're doing so good. Thank you so very much. But I'm really interested in what God's saying to you. What's happening in your life? Tell me about that. I can do that. Every pastor can do it, but you got to calendarize it.
You got to calendarize it. That's so good. And I think, obviously, the pastors that are listening are going to need to take some of those things in context of their leadership structures. Some churches are bigger than others. So I think with what you just talked about, meeting with different people, I think you would agree that churches of different size, and according to your leadership structure, some of those things might flux. So for instance, there have been times when I've had conversations of enrollment or recruitment, like you said, with people, discovered where they want to serve. And from that point, I hand them over to one of my key leaders that oversees that department, and they have those ongoing follow-up development meetings.
And that is fair. But I think it breaks down after you reach about the 45-person on staff mark. Once, because till then you can do it once a week. I think a half-hour investment in a disciple. Let's not call them team or a disciple.
I like that.
A half-hour commitment every week. In that, so 45, say 52 weeks in a year, 45 makes room for all kinds of things that can happen in the life of a church. Some week you may have to double up. But I think after 45, it breaks. There's something about me meeting with my pastor who is leading the entire church. So when I come out of my executive pastor's room, or second scene, I come out of your room, which room is more impactful for me?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's not just the tangible, it's the intangibles. When I go home, am I telling my wife, hey, I met with the executive pastor? Or am I saying, hey, I met with Pastor Ryan Deaton. Oh, what was that all about? Totally takes it to another level. And that's the difference. There's certain things that can come only with your persona. It may not even be a half-hour meeting. It might just be a 15, 20-minute meeting. So it doesn't have to be a long one. They have to be with you. They have to be with you one-on-one. They have to be with you one-on-one with an appointment. And they have to be one-on-one with you without an agenda. Except, what is God saying to you? And how can I help you?
Pretty simple conversation to have. Simple conversation. So one thing I think that I know that every leader has to navigate through is conflict within their leadership team. So how do you coach, counsel people? What are some of the principles that a leader should consider when navigating through conflict within a leadership team?
So you're absolutely right. It's just not if there's going to be conflict, it's when there's going to be conflict. Where two or three are gathered in my name, there shall be conflict. it is just
1 Sam 2:1.
Yeah. So I can tell you some of the things that will sound so fundamental and so foundational that people probably brush me off, but if you'll take me seriously, it'll help you. So the principle is you need to talk about things when there's nothing to talk about. So that's therefore teach on conflict. Teach on conflict. What is conflict? how do we at our church, so your church is Life Church, how do we at Life Church in Fort Myers deal with conflict? If you have a conflict with me, this is how I would like for you to approach me. If you have a conflict with the supervisor, this is how I'd like for you to approach them. If you have a conflict with another church member, this is how we do. So now we have not only taught them the biblical principles of conflict, but we've also given them protocols and paradigms and pathways to deal with conflict and who to deal the conflict with. Hey, if you're in a meeting, if you're in a staff meeting and you're having a conflict about something, the best time to talk about that is not during that meeting. And then we also have to teach them that we're not afraid of conflict either. If there's a conflict, we'll deal with that conflict. What we will not, and we'll deal with it positively. What we will deal with negatively is if there is unresolved, festering, passive aggressive conflict. We'll call that out. But that's all part of teaching. No staff person, no volunteer comes to you with a user manual. And you don't go to them with a user manual. So I would say, in fact, I have in one of my books, New Thinking, New Future, in the appendix of the book, I have a whole thing called Pastor's User Manual. I tell you what I'll do. After we get off this call, I will email it to you as a PDF.
Okay.
And then if people want it, or you can just attach it to your thing there, whatever, however you do that. I'll leave that with you. What am I talking about?
I'll tell you right now, we're going to upload that to the resource section of our website. So
Okay.
that'll be on our resource section in our website.
There you go. So it's a pastor's user manual. This is I like things, that I don't like things. So if you have a conflict with me, how about this? Never talk to me about a conflict on a Sunday morning before I'm preaching.
Never, never.
But you got to teach them before they do it.
That's right.
Because when they do it, now that's created another level of conflict. So the best time to teach about something is when there's nothing to teach about, and teach about it in a vacuum. About conflict has been not if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. But if I won't tell you, more energy is spent on conflict in churches than elsewhere. And that is because we have not taught our people. If you're a pastor of a church, preach in conflict, teach in conflict, not in a condemning way, but unpack what conflict is all about and how you can be not the conflict avoider. Don't avoid conflict because that creates conflict of its own, but how to deal with conflict. And the other thing I do want to say to you is when people talk about conflict resolution, I have lived long enough to say not every conflict can be resolved.
Barnabas and Paul separated because they couldn't resolve a conflict.
That's it. Exactly. That's a great. See, that's why you're a pastor. Everything we talk about has a Bible story attached to it.
That's right. That's right.
So, yeah, conflict, teach about it, preach about it, and listen, if you preach on a Sunday morning about conflict and you got 100 people in your church, I won't tell you 99 of them are having conflict.
At some place in their life. That's
right.
Guaranteed. That is guaranteed. Yeah, I think that's one of the things I'm thankful that we have begun to do here at Life Church is that our very basic leadership course, we talk about how to have difficult conversations. And this is how we do it in the context of our church. Because what we try to say is if we'll embrace difficult conversations, we might not get to the place of conflict. We might be able to mitigate some of the conflict. And even still, if there is already conflict, it requires a difficult conversation. Just as a matter of resource, I'm going to throw out there a great book I read about this called Fierce Conversations. And off the top of my head, I cannot remember who the author is, but if anybody out there is looking for a resource, something that will help them navigate through this, there's a great book called Fierce Conversations. So yeah, I love that. Teach about it before it's a conflict, before there's a conflict. So good. So good. I want to, we got just a few minutes left, but there's a question I've really been wanting to get to because one of the things that you do is you coach pastors, you coach leaders internationally, really. But from your perspective, and not because you're trying to get another coaching gig or to coach somebody else. I know that. That's not why you're on this podcast today. But from your perspective, how important is mentorship and coaching for pastors? And then what advice would you give to those that might be seeking a coach?
Every pastor needs a pastor. There's not a professional that I know who does not have a coach.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate that our corporate leaders have coaches
Yeah.
and pastors don't. So, yeah, everybody needs a coach. I can tell you this from my personal life. I did not have a coach, did not have a coach. In those days, we didn't know you could have a coach. The language was not there.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you though, if I had a coach in my life, I'd be much further down the road. I mean, I'm in a good place in my life, but I can tell you I would be further down the road faster. And I would have avoided a lot of heartache that I created for myself if you have a coach. So have a coach. When I'm coaching people now, especially pastors, so you teed up the question with pastors in mind, I'm going to tell you that I have consulted with, coached literally thousands of pastors all over the globe. At this stage and age of my life, I have only 2 questions that I ask every pastor when I'm with them. Only 2 questions, which I think if these 2 questions are answered in the affirmative, you are in a very good place. If one of them is shaky, you need to take a look at it and deal with it right now. Question number 1, and then in that order. Question number 1, how's your marriage? Question number 2, how's your money? I'm not talking about church money, I'm talking about your money. Because one day you will not be pastoring anymore. And you'd better take up your own money. And if you're dependent on your church taking care of you for the rest of your life, I'll just leave that for the question mark.
You're going to be disappointed.
Oh, very, very deeply so. Very deeply so. Because after the first 3 to 5 years, the new church board will be asking the new pastor, now, what are we paying him for? And why are we paying so much? You mean we can't hire a youth pastor because we are paying him? Etc., etc. Those conversations are pretty global. Mm-hmm. So let me come back to those 2 questions. How's your marriage? How's your money? If your marriage is good and your money is good, you will survive whatever comes your way. If your marriage is good, your money is funny, you'll have stresses, but you'll make it. If your marriage is shaky, but your money is good, she's going to be very rich. Yeah, I thought I'd break it down for people who might be thinking something else.
Yeah.
So I want everyone listening to me right now just to ask yourself those 2 questions. You don't have to answer me. You don't have to answer Pastor Ryan. Ask yourself those 2 questions. How's my marriage? How's your money? If those 2 things are good and you're working on them and they're healthy and they're flourishing, you are in an amazing spot in your life.
So good. And I just want to kind of dovetail off of that for a second because I want to talk to the Destiny pastors that might be watching right now. And here's what you need to know. Those are the kind of things, how you're doing personally, how your marriage is, how your finances are. Those are the things that we care about here at Destiny Network. And when I say we, I'm really speaking on behalf of Pastor Tony and Diana, myself, and the leadership team that is honored to serve you. We really have it on our hearts to serve pastors. We love you and we care for you. And if you're struggling in any of those areas, you don't have to do it on your own. We'd love to stand with you and stand beside you and serve you in any way we can because we love you, we care for you, and we care about the vision that God's entrusted to you. and we want to stand with you as you see it full into fruition. So don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can always email me, ryan@lifechurch.net, and I will either help you or I will connect you with somebody that can help you, pastor you, coach you, whatever's needed to get through whatever you're facing. Dr. Chan, thank you so much. We're so honored that you joined us. Avail?
Yeah, thank you.
One
Thank
more
you.
time. You want to plug it?
Yeah, availbox.com. It's for $10, a risk of $10. Some would say investment of $10, but if you are a pastor, you're probably cynical because you get offers all the time. It's over a $5,000 offer for $10 just to try. Our gift to pastors. $10 simply shows that you have a level of interest. Instead of sending it to you free, just show that there's a level of interest. So what will you get for that $10? For next 6 months, you're going to get a hard copy book that comes out on leadership and church growth, a teaching guide with it, another hard copy book, the Avail magazine, all of our master classes, all of our podcasts, all of our webinars. It just opens up an entire world of leadership to you just to try. If you don't like it, cancel, and you just lost $10. If you like it, keep it, and you'll be blessed, and you can be a blessing. In fact, I know of churches that had their entire staff invest $10 into it. Not church's money, but they said to their staff and their team, hey, listen, go to availbox.com, and every one of you, just $10 in your own personal development, in your own personal growth. It goes back to what you just said, Pastor Ryan. We don't develop people. We give them opportunities. We give them resources. We come alongside them. We stand with them. We walk with them as they develop, but we resource them to do that. So there are many, many, many churches that say to their volunteer team, their staff on paid staff, they say, hey, every one of you, $10. But it has got to come from you, not from the church, because that shows you are interested in your own personal development. Availbox.com. Check it out for yourself. It's all online.
And we're going to include that link on the podcast here. In addition, we're going to put a link on here to the resource that Dr. Chan is going to be sending us, that PDF. We're going to make sure and put it on our website, and we'll give you a link to that when this podcast comes out. So thank you all for joining us. Dr. Chan, thank you again for joining us. It was a rich time. I thoroughly enjoyed a time, and I thank you for investing in the pastors and leaders of Destiny Network in this way. I want to remind everybody that coming October 28th through 30th, it's right around the corner now, is Affecting Destiny. We're honored to host it right here in Fort Myers. There's no better place to come. It's about as closest to heaven on earth as you will get, especially in October. But our theme this year is Heaven's Frequency. Can you hear it? And just before you go, subscribe to the podcast, like it, share it with people if it's been an encouragement to you. Thank you all for joining us. We love you here at Destiny Network. We're here to serve you. God bless you.